Hello, excuse me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Three Geeks podcast. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Max.
What's up?
We're doing something a little bit different today. We have all of our interviews from Wizard World that we did with our buddy John over at the PVDcast. Go check out everything John's doing over there. He was a lot of help with these interviews.
Dude.
We booked him and he came prepared.
I think we were the help in these interviews.
It was a good catch-22. I had the connections. John had the skills. And together we were able to work out some very nice interviews. Yeah. Max and John did most of the heavy lifting, and it was really fun. We interviewed Brian Krause, Lani and Tom, Daniel Logan, and Kevin Sorbo. So listen to everything we got coming up, and today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/3geeks for all of your audiobook needs. Here are the interviews.
All right, we're sitting down with Brian Krause. Brian, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. How's it going?
It's going well. How's Wizard World treating you?
Horribly.
Really? I hear that a lot. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's fantastic. It's great. It's great to be in Columbus.
I was going to ask, is this your first time?
I think I was here 5 years ago,
okay. 2013.
Okay. It was the year before Ohio State won the championship.
Yep.
Yeah.
2012.
So, all I'm going to say is, you're welcome. I'm one for one.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We appreciate that. Hopefully that'll transfer on. I mean, we're a little out from football season, but hopefully that'll transfer
No,
on.
we're not.
I'm just saying, put your money down now because...
Done.
Okay, good.
And if you got the word from on high, I know you're on Charmed, you have the inside scoop on these sort of things.
Hey, so. I'm just going statistically.
Well, you played Andy on Charmed, and your character was a handyman. So, are you handy? Can you redo a living room?
Yeah, how much acting was that?
Yeah, how much acting?
Actually,
you do a lot of woodworking and stuff like that.
I used to actually. Yeah.
All right.
I initially auditioned for Andy Trudeau, which was the character that was married to Shannon.
Okay.
And then I didn't get it, and then came back, and I was actually retrofitting a house the day I got the audition for Leo Wyatt, and I had to leave work, go to this thing. I'm dirty, whatever. And, it didn't go. I had a couple auditions or callbacks in that same day, and then I had to call back to work and say I couldn't come back. And
Gotcha.
I'm thinking, man, I'm losing out on making $100 today.
It worked
these
out.
guys keep pushing the call, and then I finally got in the room with Aaron Spelling, who I had met previously quite a few times, and in his casting office, there's 20 people sitting on one couch, and you're performing, and they're all sitting there. And it's one of the most nervous rooms. It's like his office was like 5,000 square feet of just empty space with a desk and a chair, and you stood up in front of the couch, this huge long couch with 20 people on it. And I walked in and I said, "Well, Mr. Spelling, it's nice to see you again." And he said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." I was crushed because I had met him so many times on different auditions for 90210 and everything else he had, and at that moment I just felt like my career, everything was, it just pissed me the hell off.
Yeah.
And I gave this reading for just anger, like, screw you.
But
I did anything. I put my stuff down. I walked out. I was bummed that I wasn't making $100 doing construction that day, and
But you got the final call.
Yeah.
That worked out. All right, that's awesome.
Sorry, that's such a long answer.
No.
It sounds like a good reality TV show, though. I'd like to put 20 people on a couch and then just make other people.
Well, maybe not in 2018. That might be pushing some boundaries there.
Yeah,
for sure.
A lot of boundaries, people on the couch. What's your thoughts on the reboot of Charmed?
Yeah.
Do you have mixed feelings or?
Mixed feelings for sure.
Okay.
Obviously, I hope the show does well. I'm happy that a Charmed is coming out for the fans.
Okay.
For the ultra fan, it's fantastic. It's kind of like Solo to Star Wars, or any offshoot to an Avenger movie, or whatever it might be. So it's a new idea. It's a reboot. I think it'd be great if the show gets picked up. They would decide to bring Holly or one of the other actors back. That I think would really legitimize it for the fans. So often we get reboots. I love television too. Reboots are a thing to me that I'm like, oh man, really? make that again? Man, they just made that last year. Like that just came out and you're rebooting it. So.
Oh, no, now it's retro. If it came out 7 months ago, it's retro
what
now.
The heck?
Yeah.
Wasn't it that with the other guy? Yeah. So, if it, I hope it goes well for you.
Cool.
And if we can be a part of it in any way, then who knows?
So what advice would you give aspiring actors or actresses? I don't know. That laugh tells me this is going to be a good answer.
Apparently,
All right.
get sweaty, get pissed, and do your audition.
Be prepared, work your butt off, and it's got to be a goal that, like becoming anything, doctor, lawyer, athlete, whatever you want to be. You have to believe it and want it more than anything you want anything else on the planet, and then do whatever you can to go get it within a moral constraint, of course, and work every day at it. And it's got to be what you love to do, whether you're doing it or you're not. And, good luck.
So any
good luck.
Any last things you want to plug?
Or where can everyone find you?
I'm on Instagram, Brian Krause 21. Twitter, the Brian Krause. There's Facebook. I have a little Facebook, but mostly on Instagram. I just shot 8 episodes of a TV show called First List. It's a crime drama, FBI guy.
Cool.
First List. That'll be out next year. 8 episodes of that. I'm working on a movie. Friend Mark Ralston called Me and Michael. It's about homelessness and true story based on his character bringing in a homeless character to him and their friendship and developing that. So that's currently what's happening.
So first, let's what channel you guys gonna be on, or where's that coming from?
Not sure. It's a French company that came over, and this is the first time they've ever made anything in English. So they've done really well in the Arab markets and everything else, and this is the first time they're making a Western show. This guy Majdi Samiri, he's the most incredible artist. He was a professional breakdancer at one time, and then he gave him a camera. He shot his own music videos and whatever. Everybody told him he was great. Next thing you know, he's doing it for everybody, and now he's a DP, a cameraman, the director. Like he's doing it all, and he makes this show is going to be beautiful. So they're going to try and sell the full 8 episodes to. Hopefully Netflix if you're listening.
Netflix,
Amazon
Hulu,
Prime.
anybody? Yeah.
Hulu, Crackle, those type of things. So
Cool.
I have no doubt it'll get on the air somewhere.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thanks
it,
for having
Brian. I hope the rest of the con is excellent for you.
Awesome for you as well. Thank you.
Thanks,
You're
Brian.
welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, folks, we're sitting down here with Daniel Logan. Daniel, how are you?
I'm phenomenal, brother. I'm here at Wizard World in Ohio, Columbus to be matter of fact, and it's a good Friday.
Have you ever been to Ohio before?
I don't think so. I'm not too sure. They all start to run together after so many years of conventions, but they don't have a passport for domestic flights,
Right.
So I only have to go back on the internet and Daniel Logan, Ohio, and then
See how many times I've been there. It's like,
2002. Wow,
I've actually
Daniel
been
Logan's
here
been
14
there.
times.
Exactly.
It's great. So you started obviously acting when you were very young. Are you a Star Wars fan now, or were you were you interested in Star Wars at all when you got the part as Boba Fett, or was it just kind of like, hey, I got this thing, now I'm in the middle of this gigantic universe?
Well, it was kind of weird of how it all popped up. See, I grew up in New Zealand, and back in the day, I was a little too shy to tell people, but I grew up on welfare. My mom raised 6 kids on welfare by herself, so we only had 3 TV channels on our TV. And matter of fact, at like 9:45, a little Kiwi bird would come on the TV and wish everyone good night, and the TV would shut off. So like after a certain amount of time, you wouldn't even have TV. So Star Wars never came by any of the channels because I grew up in between episode 6 and 1. With people don't realize, but there was 16 years of no Star Wars.
Oh, I realize.
Right? So growing up in that era, having none of that to be able to go back and watch or be replayed on every channel, I never had heard of it. So when I auditioned for the movie, I was one of the only kids out of all those thousands that said I'd never heard of Star Wars. And then now I get backlash on the internet all the time, like, that kid didn't deserve the role because he didn't even like Star Wars. But if you ask me now, not only am I the biggest Star Wars fan, but I am the biggest Boba Fett fan. Like, I was talking with one of these guys in LA last night, and a friend of mine was like, oh, you gotta talk to him. He's like the biggest Star Wars, buff. So I started going back and forth about, My Armor and the Sideshow Collectibles new armor that they had coming out for about $8,000, and we started going back and forth. I started picking the armor apart, and he's like, well, oh man, you're really hardcore, aren't you? And I'm like, well, tell you the truth, if you're going to spend that much money and not be able to wear something, you should at least have it to where it's movie, accurate replica, you know? And then, going back to other stories, it's like, I talked with a couple of my other friends, I got a friend, his name's Wasted Fan on Instagram, and we're like, well, what armor could I build me next? So I was thinking about going with a brand new Stormtrooper. I just like that whole new Stormtrooper look. So I'm like, why don't we make a Stormtrooper? He's like, no, bro, you can't be a Stormtrooper. So I'm like, what are you talking about? So we're having these arguments. He's like, dude, you could be Jango Fett, you could be Boba, you could be Special Edition, Holiday Spare, all these other, you could be Commander Cody, but you can't be a Stormtrooper. So then we're arguing, why not, right? So then he goes back to the backstory. Well, Stormtroopers ain't clone troopers. Clone troopers were wiped out there. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, but there were a few of us left,
And who's to say that who's to say Boba Fett wouldn't sneak into the First Order and rock the armor? Maybe he's trying to figure out what everyone else has got going on. Like I feel like he's being a hater.
Exactly.
That's not cool.
I love it, but that's how in detail my conversations now about Star Wars. They're so in depth that we start getting personal about different things that we see Star Wars as, and I think that's what Star Wars is over being such a generational franchise. You've really picked up different generations. That one generation like this, they don't like the next, and they don't like the next, or they do like the next. But then you give it a few years, and then they're like, oh, well, hey, that's not so bad, and it just becomes something that they're like, oh, hey, I didn't really open my mind to seeing it because it wasn't my Star Wars, but once I've seen it so many times, it actually isn't too bad, or I can relate to some of that storyline, Now,
I have to, full disclosure, I am actually a Boba Fett hater. Because they don't actually show him doing anything cool. But he's getting more opportunity now. There's talks about a Boba Fett movie. So I'm interested to see him do something cool.
But if I may, why do you think Boba Fett is so popular? Because so many people love that character.
And he hasn't actually done anything.
To kind of piggyback off
no, besides falling aside like that.
Yeah.
Like, what
he got taken out by a blind guy on accident. I'm just saying.
Well, why do you think, Daniel, he's so popular with people?
I think what it really came down to, truthfully, guys, is that it was in a time of when people were just coming back from war. We're in a quiet period, and we had militants that needed something to identify to.
Okay.
And people have asked me this question for years, and over these years of sitting and thinking about what truly it is, I think truly it was the military veterans that actually supported this character because they related to him so much. He was a soldier. He had all these different mechanical parts that you used for storage.
Okay.
The guns he used were something more where a military person was able to relate to. Well, the militants picked it up, and that's where we started doing the 501st Challenge coins and stuff like that, right? Which was very militant of him. But I felt like he was related to by a whole bunch of people that were able to connect to this character because of their career path that they chose to take in life. And then when a whole bunch of the military opened up and said, man, I love that guy. I wish I was Boba Fett. Other people started giving the guy a chance. And then from there, they started saying, wow, this character's so great. Why don't we make a backstory? And then all these backstories that started becoming to life, really, because of the love for this character, made that character so much bigger than what he was for that couple of seconds or minute on the original screen.
Right,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing something in the Clone Wars where we started going somewhere fantastic, and I can't really talk about it because I don't know if they're gonna re-pick them ever up. But I mean, they started doing what we were wanting to see Boba doing, but as a little kid,
right.
And to tell you the truth, that kid is badass.
I have seen the Clone Wars episodes, and again, they are trying to show
we stopped
where
at
Boba
Cad
Fett.
Bane.
Yeah.
It was terrible because that was just the beginning of the arc to make that whole entire animation again.
Right.
The Clone Wars had arcs. It was never just like ba 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 ba. But when Boba came in, you started seeing that roller coaster bang up again. You know what I mean? And it started living it out. But where they were gonna go with the arcs again, it was just gonna, make it to where he fit right in the universe. Without saying too much.
Yeah. Well, we're getting the signal. We got to wrap up, Daniel.
Okay.
So, real quickly, where can people find you on the internet? What projects do you got coming up and whatnot?
I'm on Instagram, Daniel Logan.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, Daniel-Logan, and also on Twitter.
Okay.
But I just did a project with some of the Funko guys. They have the Asia Funko group, and also a video game company called Valve. they did a lot of the original games. Yes. So they got together, they collaborated, and they now produced a game that's called, a movie that we filmed in China and the Philippines that's called The Underdog Rising.
Okay.
And it's basically, the premise is basically set around the video game Dota 2.
Okay. Yep.
If you guys are familiar with Dota, Dota's phenomenal. It's actually got a humongous following all around the world, and they will have these tournaments in, say, like the Staples Center in LA, and they will actually literally sell out every single seat just for people to go and watch these, not really kids, half adults playing games.
Yep.
And and it's incredible. But this movie is basically about the life of these gamers and what it entails to become a gamer, and basically the backstory of some of these gamers' lives. Not every gamer gets sponsors, supporting nutritionists, like all these different coaches.
Yeah.
Some come from nothing, and they have to form a team where they find each other. They're playing in someone's like a basement or an apartment.
Yep.
One team has like a nutrition who's cooking for them and providing first class meals, and then you have them who are eating tapa ramen and like these small meals. But it's all about underdogs rising, and it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It goes to show if you have the heart for the game, you can win in the end.
All right.
Excellent.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you for stopping by,
Logan,
Daniel. It was a
so much.
pleasure.
Very
Thank you
welcome.
very, very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day, and stay tuned because there's many more great interviews ahead from Wizard World, Ohio.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. All right, so folks, we're sitting down with Kevin Sorbo, aka Hercules. Kevin, how are you this afternoon?
Very good. Can you guys see that? There you go.
So, how's the con been so far for you?
It seemed pretty slow for Friday. It seems pretty slow. I hope it picks up for tomorrow for sure because usually Fridays are pretty decent. But I don't know what's going on. I think everybody's at home hoping that that LeBron and company don't get their butts kicked.
Yeah. Are you?
That is a major factor.
Are you rooting for Cleveland or Golden State?
I just like a good series. So,
Okay.
So you're kind of disappointed, is what you're saying.
it hasn't been a very stellar series for him again.
LeBron's got not a lot to deal with versus the super team, so I mean it's kind of crappy for him.
Yeah, when they got brought in Durant, that was just an extra piece of the puzzle that made it pretty tough.
Are you a big basketball fan?
I'm a big college fan. I love college hoops and football. I probably watch more NFL and the pros than I watch NBA.
Gotcha.
I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, so when I do, I got my computer in my lap like you do now, and I'm always doing work. And what's great about sports on TV is if you miss a good play, they're going to show the replay right away. So
you're not really missing.
Exactly.
But I'll watch. I don't know. It starts at 8:00 tonight. The game.
I think it's a 9 o'clock start. Actually,
Oh, really? I'll be in my room watching it then. So
Excellent. So obviously, you're most known for being Hercules.
sure.
So if you could be any other god or demigod, who would it be? If you couldn't be Hercules, could you pick another
I'll
one?
be Zeus. Age me up a little bit. Make me Zeus.
Excellent
Make
answer.
me the king of the gods for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't
Good
for
bit.
Hercules, I wouldn't have the success I've had. I mean, Andromeda I did for 5 years. That was the first show that Gene Roddenberry created after Star Trek. He wrote it in 1969. And it's funny, you got a Spock bit up here right now. And when I moved back to LA, after I was 7 years in New Zealand and 5 years in Canada, so I was out of the country for 12 straight years. When I finally moved back, my wife and I bought a home over by UCLA. I'm walking the streets, and Leonard comes walking at me. He goes, "Kevin, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I just bought a house here." He goes, "I live right here." So I was his neighbor
Really?
for 3.5 years before we moved even further out of LA. So
Like never catching like
it was
poking
pretty
around
funny.
in your yard.
Well, I got to know him from doing Comic Cons. That's how I got to know Leonard.
Okay.
So there you
Can
go.
I ask about one of your earlier roles?
Go ahead.
Okay, you were on an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
I was.
Are you aware of the conspiracy theory that many people have put out there that actually Jessica Fletcher is the murderer and is like a serial killer
Well, look at
because
it.
she's always the one that solves the
That
murder?
little tiny town. Don't go there because people die.
Right, exactly.
Every week somebody dies in a town of 3,000 people.
I mean, I guess 52 deaths a year isn't that bad.
It's pretty funny. Exactly. It's pretty funny. She invited me into her camper with her husband to have lunch. Right, the third day I was on the set, and I come walk out. The whole crew's looking at me, going, "She never invites somebody in her camper." And then I find out a day later she wanted to check me out and set me up with her niece on a blind date.
Were you already married at the time?
No, I was a single man, so I went on the blind date. So,
All right, well, there you go. Victory,
but
everyone
the
wins all the way
chemistry
around.
just wasn't there.
Okay,
you know.
all right. Hey, while doing some research, your mom was a teacher?
My father was a teacher,
Your father was a teacher, okay.
and my mom was a nurse.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're...
My dad's name was Lynn. So you probably thought that's a woman's name. So I always thought my dad's name was not a great name until Lynn Swan came along for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
I go,
No,
Dad, your name is awesome.
He brought it back.
So,
He brought it back for sure.
I'm busted. That was straight up. I'm
There you
busted
go. There
on
you
that
go.
one. Anyway, so your dad was a teacher. Were you in the same school that he taught in?
I was, but my older brothers had him as a teacher, biology and math, and they warned me, don't take Dad, because you won't get a break. He'll actually be harder on you. So I took somebody else as a teacher instead of my dad.
I always feel bad for that.
He didn't want to show favoritism.
Yeah, no.
So he was tougher on his kids.
But I mean, that's like reverse though. I mean, it's not fair to you guys. I mean, he should be fair and impartial. But he's making it harder for you
making
guys.
it harder.
But I mean, did you end up like with double the work? You know, it's like summertime, you don't get a break because Dad's here teaching.
Wow, no, my parents were great. My dad passed 5 years ago. He was my best friend. He's the best man at my wedding.
All right.
And he was a great guy. My mom's still around at 86, so I take care of her. But I mean, my parents were great. I grew up in a little town in Minnesota, so I know winters like you guys know winters. I don't
think you
miss
know a
them.
little more than
I
I
don't
do.
miss them. LA's got its problems. Weather's not one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, can we ask one final question?
Go for
though,
it.
Kevin. Since you mentioned that small little town, I know it's Mountain, Minnesota.
Mountain, Minnesota.
Were you a fan growing up of AWA Pro Wrestling?
I was Vern Gagne. I used to dock Vern Gagne's boat as a kid.
You're kidding me.
I worked at summers. I worked at a restaurant called Allen Alma's. You ever get in beautiful Lake Minnetonka? Mountain is on the shores of Lake Minnetonka. My little town was home to Tonka Toys. Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah.
And I grew up a Lakers fan because why?
Because
they're
they were
not from
originally
LA.
part
They're
of
Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah.
Most Laker fans don't even know that.
There's no
Yeah.
lakes
I go, there
in
are
LA.
no lakes in LA. It's the LA Lakers because it was the Minneapolis Lakers.
Yo.
So there you go.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, thank you for stopping by.
Come on out to the Comic
There
Con
you
for
go, I was
crying
gonna
out
say.
loud. We got a lot of stuff going on.
You got any projects you want to plug real quick?
Check out Let There Be Lights, my latest movie out on DVD. I directed it as well. It was in theaters November, December. Go to Amazon, go to Best Buy, Walmart. Let There Be Light. My next movie I'm directing. It's called East Texas Oil. It's a comedy.
Okay.
And we got a great cast. We got Craig T. Nelson. We got Shatner. We got Gail O'Grady. We got Lou Ferrigno. We got a great cast.
Awesome.
We're gonna shoot up in Canada. So,
All right,
Awesome.
well, good luck with that, Kevin.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for coming
Yes.
by.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much. We appreciate it.
KevinSorbo.net.
I think Tom's going to keep playing while we're here during the interview. I hope that's okay.
And you know what? That's okay.
Pass the level for you.
It's Wizard Roll Columbus, and anything goes. We're sitting down here with Thomas Ian Nichols and, of course, Lani Sarem, as Thomas is playing.
Bad girl of the New York bestsellers list. You have to throw that out there.
Yeah, you're like an outlaw.
I am. I was on the New York Times bestseller list for 23 hours. I'm the only person that's ever happened with. So. I'm infamous. I like being infamous.
So if you ever go to jail, you already have street cred.
I do.
You'd be like, I got thrown off the New York Times bestseller. You better back up.
That's my street cred. They're like, how many people did you murder? I'm like, I didn't murder anyone, but I got kicked off the New York Times bestseller list. What? Wait, why am I in jail? Why did I go to jail?
You can think of some good reason to go to jail. I mean,
You know, there was a book, someone at our distribution company, and when everything was going down, they we were like, you know, asking them like what they thought about it, and they said, you know, New Time authors ask us all the time, like, what can I do to get my book out there? And they said, you could kill someone with your book. So.
There you go.
So maybe what we chose was better.
Yeah. Don't kill anyone with
Lanny
my
may
book.
have been kicked off the New York Times bestseller list, but nobody died in the process.
Yeah,
There you go.
Don't kill anyone with my book, please. That's not what I said.
Just read the book.
Just read the book.
That's all you need. Read, enjoy it, share it with others.
There we go.
Don't use it to bludgeon
You
someone
guys
to
have
death.
it at your store, so
Oh yeah, it's,
you know.
you can find a copy at VGMX in Columbus, Ohio, if you're ever in the area.
Yep. There's
But,
also a few signed copies at the Barnes and Noble in Columbus as well, in Easton, and other Barnes and Nobles across the country.
All right. But you guys are working on the movie.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all, or?
It's gonna be a movie.
Is it going to be a musical?
It's
I'm just curious.
Not
For any
going-
particular reason?
not gonna be a musical, though.
okay.
There is there would be some music in it. There is there are some characters that are in a band, and there's definitely at least a montage scene of some music. And who knows? You know, Tom has a band, and even though Tom's band isn't in the movie, maybe we'll put some of Tom's songs in the movie.
You're gonna have to talk to me about this.
You have to get with my people. Can't say anything right
Tom,
now.
can we put some of your music in the movie?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Tom, can I ask a quick question? In
Sure.
your illustrious acting career, have you ever turned down a role?
Illustrious. That's a.
Did you like that adjective?
I did. I like that adjective. I've never been referred to as illustrious before.
Well, mark it down. It happened here.
He called, to be fair, he called your career illustrious,
Oh, fair
not
enough.
you.
Fair enough. Well, right before I did American Pie, I actually not accidentally. I almost did a movie with Ernest Borgnine and a giant turtle.
I mean, does it like? Because I guess.
And I turned that down to do American Pie. I think I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
good
think so
call.
too. I think so too.
Who ended up being in that movie? Didn't we meet
Did it
them?
even end up getting made?
It did.
I have no idea. Yeah, I got made.
It's out there. You can look
I
it up.
technically had to actually break my contract because I think I was signed on to it. But it was a good thing to.
What was it called? Do you remember?
No, I don't want to remember.
I'm gonna look this up.
Okay. I was fascinated by it because I'm thinking about how many people are struggling to get into Hollywood, and folks take any role they can get, and I just was curious if that had ever come where you said, well, I don't know about this role and I'm going to turn it down and cross my fingers I get something better,
Yeah, I mean, I think not to accidentally judge someone for their last work.
Sure.
They say,
Sure.
I get judged for mine. I'm only as good as my last job.
Right.
So I think, the idea is when I read something, I kind of look at who's making it. And so sometimes I'll choose not to be a part of something based upon the, previous work of the folks involved.
Okay.
It was called Everybody Loves Mel.
Everybody loves Mel?
Everyone Loves Mel.
That was not the original title.
Ernest Borgnine. Also, it ended up starring Julie Haggerty, Greg. Can you read that name? Greg.
Evigan?
Jack Celia and Bud Hall. There's Mel.
All right.
Mel
the
you go.
Turtle.
Mel the
Best
Turtle.
actor ever made.
Yeah.
Dodging
Everybody
bullets.
Yeah.
All right.
Dodge.
Directed by Joey Travolta.
Yeah.
Huh.
Really?
Is Joey Travolta John Travolta's something?
Maybe.
That kind of sounds like a name you would see in an episode of Catfish.
Set,
Like, my name is Joey Travolta.
set in the beauty of the Pacific Northwest, the legend of Swanson Lake is kept by one man, Bill, who's Ernest Borgnine, and he's not about to surrender it. When Bill's grandsons come for a summer visit, they stumble into a big-time adventure with giant turtle named Mel.
That would have been
When
time.
Bill's neighbor, Bailey, Jack Silica, tries to kidnap Mel in order to feature him in a proposed theme park, the grandsons plot to hide Mel from the neighbors. Then the fun begins, and
That's when the fun begins.
Mel becomes an unlikely hero.
I think we're gonna make Dan watch that movie.
Hey, can this be an episode of Guilty Pleasure Treasure, Mike? Can we do that? I'd like to
I
see
can
about
give you
this one.
some names of other movies that I have done and why I turn things down now.
Bug Hall. I think Bug Hall is the kid that replaced you, right?
Yes.
Bug Hall.
Bug Hall.
I can give you
Bug
one,
Hall.
Judge and Jury.
That was an excellent
that was
film.
one that I did know. Excellent.
Yeah, excellent.
If you want to, if I'm understanding your guilty pleasure thing, it's
Mike, get out a pen. Write these down.
The movies we love to watch that are terrible, right?
Throw your eggs into those bastards.
I don't understand how to throw
Are you
my
winning
eggs.
at this game, Tom?
There you go.
I don't know. He's not losing, but I
He's
don't
not
know if
losing, but
winning.
he's not maybe not doing
He doesn't-
spectacular.
I don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I just did.
He doesn't know. So he doesn't know how to do it again.
So, Lani, you're first cousins with JC from NSYNC?
Yes.
Did people
Nice
bring that up all the time? That was a great transition, wasn't it? It was fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm a pro.
my-
What can I say?
My dad and his dad are brothers.
Okay.
So that makes us cousins.
Yeah?
Yep.
How's family reunions?
They're good. They're good. We actually, my dad and his dad are they're the only siblings, so we're all pretty close. I have two younger brothers, and then Josh has a younger brother and sister. So, but Josh and I are the only ones that are kind of in the entertainment business and live on the West Coast. Everyone else on the East Coast. So I'm addicted to escape games. Tom and I both are, and I've actually gotten my cousin Josh or JC addicted to escape games. So what's funny is, so Tom and I do all the Comic-Cons, and originally when we started doing them and someone knew that we're related, they were like, hey, would JC ever do one? Because some of the other NSYNC guys do them, like Joey and Chris. And so I asked JC, and he was like, I don't know, maybe. Like, he wasn't like all like, yeah, let's do it. And then, but he knows that we go and do escape games in every city. And so after we did like one a few weeks ago, he was like, you know, I could come try a Wizard World sometime. I could come do a Comic. You guys do the escape games afterwards, right? I'm like, you're gonna come to a Comic-Con just to come to escape games with us?
Hey,
Okay.
whatever works.
Two birds, right?
Whatever works.
It does get awkward sometimes at weddings, though. So, like, my little brother got married a couple of years ago, and the DJ, like, just started to play Bye Bye Bye, and then kept saying over the microphone, like, hey, does anyone know the dance to this song? I feel like someone here knows. And I was actually in the middle of a conversation with JC, and I was like, hey there. He goes, just keep talking. Like, just don't stop talking. So it's weddings, and then, you know, there was, like, he went up to get coffee, and then my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, like, you know, a lot of her friends were there, and all of a sudden I saw this line of, like, girls, like, waiting for coffee and to get photos. So so, you know, but it's fun. He's a good sport about it.
Tom, can I ask your character in American Pie, Kevin? How
Yes.
much of that character is based on you?
None of it wasn't written for me.
Well, no, but what did you bring, like, from your own personality or whatnot to the role?
No, I mean, Paul and I wrote the backstory for Kevin.
Oh, okay.
You know, to be different than myself, only for the fact that you know, he had a different upbringing than myself.
Okay.
And so obviously, I don't know. There are similarities between us, and I bring a little bit of myself to each of the roles that I play.
Kevin's
but,
a genuinely nice guy. You're a genuinely nice guy.
or so you think.
I mean, I've known you for a little while. I feel like I can say that.
Yes, but now he's waiting to spring the trap.
Right? You've known me for a few
Evil
years.
plans have
Now
come to fruition.
There's no evil trap to spring. I just, I know that there's, you
Are
know.
you secretly a vampire? What's going on?
I would say that the similarity between Kevin and myself mainly is that you know, we're in the storyline of American Pie, we're sort of the character that everyone can relate to, versus, you know, the other sort of characters that
Sure.
are kind of like people we know.
Yeah, okay.
We all have friends that are kind of like Stifler.
And Jason.
Or Jason.
Uh-huh.
My good friend is just like Jason.
Yeah. I knew a Stifler. Yeah. He was down to have relations with anyone.
Do we all
Anyone.
have friends like Eddie K. Thomas?
Yeah.
You wish.
You wish?
I don't have any friends that slept with my mom. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I don't mean like the details. I just mean like the type of personality. The sort of the oddball of the group.
Oh.
I was the normal guy.
Sure.
And I would venture to say that I'm fairly normal, considering that, you know, I've been working in the business for 30 years. I should be a lot weirder than I am.
Well, you're going to be back in town at the end of August, right?
I'm going to be back in town.
You're always here. Why don't you just move here?
At the end
it's
of
a nice
July as
town.
well.
Oh, in the end of July.
He started telling people he owns a house like 3 blocks from here. He's
I
like,
got a house in Easton. It's cool.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a good spot.
It's
nice.
a good spot. Yeah.
yeah, you picked the nice area of town.
I don't know. That's just where the Barnes and
Just
Noble
as-
was. That's the only place I know. Like that's like a, you know, like
But
a part of
a
Columbus.
little bit of trivia, since you're a baseball fan. Mo
Okay.
Vaughn used to live there. Like
Oh, really?
in those apartments, in those condos
And
across
who's
from
that? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm totally-
yeah, used to in a while, because apparently the rumor was that his wife was from Columbus.
Okay.
And so in the off season he would come back and live there in Easton. So there you go, a little baseball trivia for you.
So you would have lived next to him.
I would have lived in, yeah.
If you
That might
really
have
had
gotten
a
ugly
house.
because you're a Cubs fan, right? That would have butted heads with Mo Vaughn, maybe.
I mean, I don't think I like to butt heads with anyone.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe not Mo, especially. He's a big dude.
I gotta say, I saw your Schmodown match. It was awesome.
Right on, thank you.
I was rooting for you, man.
That's Lanny's friend Matt Black, which is how I even got introduced to the whole
I introduce
Schmodown.
people, then they do schmodowns together.
Yeah, Christian and Mark are awesome. You guys
Tom lost.
I think I lost.
Oh, game over. Doo-doo.
I know the feeling. Know what it's like to lose this weekend.
Yeah, we
know.
he just recently got beaten Remake Revolution, a little like pseudo game show we do.
You don't have the
with
belts
Mike.
hanging up somewhere?
We have them stashed. They're in the vault right now. We
They're in
locked
the
them
vault.
away. They're
I'm not going to
safe.
steal the belts back.
I don't know that for sure.
You know what? I'm glad. No,
Oh, no,
you know what?
go
Let's
ahead.
talk about them. We can settle our beef later.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I know you guys asked earlier, and we sort of skimmed over. We don't have any official announcements yet, but we're hoping to have some soon. We're in some conversations right now that are great, and to have some actors reading the script that we're really excited about, and so we may have some formal announcements really soon. And obviously, we'll send it to you guys right away because you guys have been so supportive of the project from the beginning. So as soon as we can, we'll let you know for sure.
Awesome.
You and all your fans. We're part of the 3 Geek podcast family.
Yeah.
And where are some of those fine places on the social medias, as the kids call it? Or maybe they don't call it that, I don't know.
Our Facebook page is Handbook for Mortals. Our Instagram is Handbook for Mortals. Our Twitter is Handbook Series, and our website is handbookseries.com. We also, if you go on the website and you go to contact and you put your name and email address, and then you say like add me to the mailing list, we'll add you to our mailing list where we'll be sending a newsletter at some point. We've actually sent no newsletters so far, so if you are like, hey, I haven't gotten a newsletter yet, we haven't sent one, but we will as soon as we have some more official updates. So go join the mailing list.
Some news are like, hey, we're still working on stuff. Can't tell you anything officially. Just letting you know we're still around.
Well, we have, like, when people come and buy the book now at the table, we ask them if they want to sign up. And we had one guy that was like, well, how often are you going to email me? And I'm like, well,
Every day, sir. Every day.
We started doing this, like, last September, and so far we've sent out 0 newsletters. So I don't
So we're
think...
good.
So far, I don't think you're going to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's like completely unbothered. But you know that we're out there thinking of you.
Yeah. So, but on our Facebook page and Instagram and stuff, we post, like, especially Facebook, we post like fun videos, like John Barrowman turns us upside down, and actually Billy Boyd has made a play to want to play Zayd. He's said that he thinks he can play a young woman from Tennessee, even though he's an older Scottish gentleman. But he won't do the Southern accent for us, though.
He says he's saving it for day one.
Yeah.
Smart move on his behalf.
But it might be
Smart
the right call.
move.
You know, all you can do is get him in there, like maybe see how he runs the lines. You know,
Yeah.
like if he's feeling it and works it, I mean, why not, right?
Well, feel free to leave comments on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you think that Billy Boyd should play Zayd. I'd love to know what you
I'm
think.
gonna do that like right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go so you can do that.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
thanks for
Yeah,
for
thank
chatting
you for
with
letting
us.
me play video games.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Tom's like, can more interviews be like this? Can I just play video games?
All the interviews with us can be like this.
Next
all the
time CNN calls, goes, wait, I'm not
where's
doing the
the Super
interview.
Nintendo?
I need the Super Nintendo. Yeah.